Michael Osinski. I own the Widow's Hole Oyster Farm in Greenport. I'm also recently elected the president of the Long Island Oyster Growers Association. Well, we've been doing it about 15 years now, 14 years. I had a software company that I sold in Manhattan in 2000. This was a summer house. I knew this village was the oyster capital of New York, and no one was growing oysters. I was retired. I'd gotten a buyout. We had some dollars, nothing to do. I had 2 kids, and I thought, I'll do something different. You often hear out here in the East End that, we're now definitely a summer resort area. 50% of the homes, even in Greenport, are summer homes. There's nothing for young kids to do, no jobs. Well, look around you. This bay is fertile territory. Thousands of people used to go out in this bay every day and work, and there's no reason it can't be that way again. The oyster is such a healthy thing to eat. Right now it's an appetizer on expensive restaurants or in oyster bars. But if you can ever get the consumption back in the home, if people stopped eating all that cheap, unhealthy beef and started eating healthy oyster meat, the demand would surge. You'd have, by a factor of 10. Because 100 years ago, people ate more oyster meat than beef on the East Coast of the United States, and they could do it again. So right now, you can see we have a dock, we have facilities to grow and land our oysters. We have an advantage, but I'd like to see the young people that are getting, the county has 3 years ago started the grant program, so there's 10-acre parcels. About 30, 40 guys, young men and women, have gotten parcels out there that they're working and growing oysters. Well, where are they going to land their oysters? And I propose this building right behind me, the old red building, was the old depot for the train. Was a depot. Used to be 2 trains a day of oysters only ran into the city. Let's make it into an oyster depot again. Typically, we like to grow oysters that are 3 years old. It's more work, more labor, less profit margin, but a bigger, fatter piece of meat, and we're getting rave comments, and we just started this in the last year or so. We used to be, like everybody else, we sold 2-year-old oysters, but the 3s are much fatter and much plumper and just a better animal. So we start at we buy oyster seed called spat at 1 millimeter, the size of a grain of sand. Then we run them through nursery systems. We buy them typically in May. We keep them in nursery systems where we're pumping water through and they're in containers with screens. So they get up from 1 millimeter to 25 millimeters, which is an inch. Then they go out into these bags that are here into the bay. And over there's 1 million 11-month-old oysters. We then bring them up. We'll sort them with machinery we have here, putting them in oyster baskets that'll be rigged, that'll float on the surface, or not float, but they're attached to cables, or they'll go back into cages. Then they're constantly being, from that point on, cleaned and sorted. When they get the biggest, fastest growing 2s, we can sell a little bit early, but typically we like to let them grow to 3s, and then we've got them all sorted and cleaned all the time, and then we just pick them up and count them and run them into market in the fall and winters. Oysters have been the new sushi for 5 years. I see hipsters eating in Brooklyn eating oysters for breakfast. That means to me that the demand is picking up, and we want to get them, into the home. So people start eating. And my second largest client now is the lobster place in Chelsea Market, and that's all retail. They're selling retail and people are taking them home and eating them, which is something I did not think I would see so soon, but it's happening. I want young men and women to get out here, strap on some Grundens, get out of high school, get out of college, and put your Grundens on and make some money and enjoy life and work on the bay. That's what we need, young men and women. It's not old guys like me are fading, boys. Let me tell you, it's hard work, but you'll love it.